Just before sunrise, the first golden light of day pierced through the tops of rubber trees, casting long shadows over a narrow dirt road, silent, forgotten, and nearly untouched by traffic. And right there, in the middle of that road, sat a teenage boy, around 15 or 16 years old, still, frozen. His eyes blank and glassy, staring off into nothing, like his soul had been sucked right out of him. He wore a faded t-shirt and torn-up jeans. One shoe was missing. His body was covered in mud, smeared with cuts and scrapes, as if he'd just survived something violent. All around him, the remains of a motorcycle lay scattered across the road, mangled, twisted, blown apart like it had exploded just hours ago. But the boy didn't move, didn't cry, didn't speak. He just sat there, staring forward, like the events of the night were still playing on a loop in his mind. When the rescue team arrived, they were shocked to find him mostly unharmed. The police came soon after, trying to get answers. "What happened last night?" they asked. "Nothing." "Where are your two friends?" Still no response. The boy sat frozen, as if he'd left his voice somewhere in the darkness that swallowed up the night before. In a southern province of Thailand, there's a narrow dirt road that twists its way through an old rubber plantation. Streetlights are rare, and the few that still stand flicker faintly, on the verge of burning out. Locals know the rule. When the sun goes down, stay off that road. People from outside the area, especially motorcyclists, sometimes take a wrong turn and end up there by accident. They never forget it, because something waits in the dark. A ghost of an old woman, known for chasing down reckless teens who speed through the night. To the locals, it has a name, Yai Speed Road. Legend has it, no matter how fast you ride, she can catch you. And when she does, no one ever comes back quite the same. But even with all the warnings, all the horror stories passed down for years, there's always someone who thinks it's just a myth. Just like that boy, sitting alone in the middle of the road, not knowing yet that he was lucky to even be alive. One cold, quiet night in the dead of winter, two local teens, Best and Claw, sat huddled around a dim lantern, swapping ghost stories with their new friend Jay, a mixed-race kid who just moved into town. Tonight's tale? The one no local ever dares say out loud after dark. The Legend of Yai Speed. No one knows exactly when it began. Some say decades ago. But the story always starts the same way, passed down from mouth to mouth, whispered like a curse. Before she became the ghost everyone fears, Yai Speed was just an old woman living in a rickety wooden house near the dirt road that cuts through the rubber plantation. Back then, the area was quiet, peaceful, until the street racers showed up. One night, that lonely road became a racetrack. Groups of teens with souped-up bikes started meeting there, challenging each other to see who could push it to the limit. They didn't care who they disturbed, didn't care who lived nearby. It was all about the speed, all about the thrill. The old woman, fragile, tired, and just trying to live out her final years in peace, couldn't stand the noise anymore. She stepped out of her house, hoping to scold them, hoping maybe they'd listen, but of course they didn't. One night turned into two turned into three, and on that third night, everything changed. The old woman was walking home after cutting rubber trees in the dark when one of the racers lost control. The motorcycle slammed into her at full speed. Terrified of getting caught, the kids panicked and scattered, leaving her there, broken and bleeding. But it didn't stop there. The bike that hit her? It didn't just knock her down, it dragged her body for miles, long after she'd stopped screaming. A few days later, the racers were caught, but because they were minors, they got off easy. A slap on the wrist, no justice, no remorse. And that's when the legend of Granny Speed truly began. Some locals swear they've seen her. Riding late at night through the rubber plantation, they catch a glimpse, a frail old woman limping along the road, her clothes torn, her hair wild, her frame bone thin. At first, she looks human, until they notice her ankle, gone, just a mangled stump. They speed up to get away. But then they hear it. Thump, thump, thump. Footsteps behind them, getting faster, closer. They glance in the side mirror and nearly lose control because there she is, covered in wounds, her leg twisted the wrong way, the other one missing entirely from the ankle down, sprinting after their bike at a speed no human should be capable of. For thrill-seeking teens, Granny Speed is the ultimate nightmare. No matter how fast they ride, she keeps up. Some say she doesn't just follow, she pulls up beside them, turns her broken neck their way, and whispers, "Take me with you. I want to go too." That's usually when they snap. They veer off the road, crash. Some survive, most don't. Eventually, the locals declared that road cursed. Once the sun sets, no one goes near it. But every so often, some cocky kid from out of town hears the rumors and thinks they're just stories. They bring their bikes, they test their speed. They think they'll be the one to outrun her.
So what do you think? You scared yet?
If you're too chicken, then don't bother hanging with us.
The two local boys, Best and Claw, shouted in unison, grinning like they already knew how this night would end. Jay just laughed.
Man, we don't have shit like this in England. But I do want to see just how crazy Thai ghosts really are.
So, that night, all three hopped on their motorbikes, one each, and sped off toward the infamous road, the cursed stretch, the one nobody with a brain touches after dark. That night, the road welcomed 3 new challengers. It was around 3 a.m. when they rode in. The sky was pitch black, no moon, no stars, just the buzz of cicadas and the sound of cold wind slicing through rows of rubber trees. The air was already freezing, but as they drove deeper, it felt like it was pulling the warmth right out of their bones. The streetlights? Useless, barely flickering. Their only real light came from the dull beams of their headlights, cutting through the thick, haunted dark. Halfway in,
Shh, this is bullshit. Ain't nothing here.
Best scoffed.
Granny Speed my ass.
But just as the words left his mouth, the silence shattered. A chorus of howls. Dogs. Somewhere. Nowhere. They couldn't see a single one, but the noise, it was everywhere. The howls twisted and layered on each other, like they were coming from under the road, high-pitched, sharp. If you listened close enough, it almost sounded like a woman screaming. The vibe flipped instantly. That wild adrenaline they came with started to melt into unease.
Dogs just howl. Chill.
Jay tried to brush it off, but then Claw's eyes went wide. A new sound crept in, like something was crawling from the woods behind them. They froze. All three slowly glanced into their mirrors. And that's when their hearts dropped. Just a few dozen feet back, a shadow, crouched low, twisted, hunched. The figure of an old woman, hair long, wild, bone white, clothes ripped to shreds, body covered in gashes. Her skin sagged, her face a nightmare of wrinkles, and her eyes locked right on them. Claw whispered, voice trembling.
Guys.
But Best, cocky as ever, turned around and yelled back with a smug grin.
Hey, you Granny Speed or what? Come on then, try and catch us.
The old woman slowly began to rise, one leg twisted at an unnatural angle, the other gone, no foot at all. She dragged her disfigured body out from the side of the road, using both legs, if you could still call them that, to pull herself up. Step by step, she made her way into the middle of the street. Then she started to run at a speed no human should ever move. Thump, thump, thump. Her footsteps echoed louder and louder, pounding like a nightmare on repeat. The teens twisted the throttle with everything they had, their bikes roaring down the road like their lives depended on it, because they really did. They were halfway through the street. If they could just make it out of that cursed road, they'd be safe. But of course, it was never gonna be that easy. 110 kilometers per hour? That was nothing compared to the infamous speed of the legendary Granny Speed.
Didn't you wanna meet me? Then why the fuck are you running?
The last thing they saw was her figure already ahead of them, sprinting full speed down the road. Her twisted arms and legs flailing in the wind, her head bent completely backward, and those blood-red eyes never breaking contact.
You wanted to see me, huh? Then take a good fucking look!
The next morning, local authorities were alerted to an accident on the old back road. When they arrived at the scene, they found shattered pieces of a motorcycle scattered across the asphalt. Just a few feet away, a teenage boy, about 15 or 16, was sitting eerily still in the middle of the road. His eyes were vacant, hollow, like something had ripped the soul right out of him. His body was covered in scratches, like he'd been dragged across the pavement. After a quick ID check, they found out his name was Claw. Claw was rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. His lower body was completely paralyzed. As for Best and Jay, they were never found. Just gone. Vanished without a trace. Everyone tried asking Claw what the hell happened that night. What did they see? Where did Best and Jay go? But Claw never spoke about it. Not once. He just sat there, his eyes haunted, always darting around like he was being watched. From that night on, he never said another word.
This time I took just 2. But if you ever open your damn mouth, I'm coming back for you too.